Ever get that, like, that feeling when something you're hyped about totally flops, like a dud firework?
I get you.
That's kind of the starting point for today's deep dive. We're getting into those what could have been moments. But, and here's where it gets interesting, we're doing it through AI music and, well, a band some folks might recognize, REM.
And the really fascinating part, this all spirals out from a real event, Comet Kohoutek. Back in the 70s, everyone thought it was going to be this huge celestial deal, but...
Total cosmic bummer.
Yeah, pretty much. Which somehow inspired a song, which then, thanks to the magic of AI, exploded into a whole concept album.
It's wild, right? So we're working with two main sources here. There's the original REM song, Kohoutek, and then this AI-generated album. It basically imagines if REM went all in on that comet theme.
Important to remember, we're not here to, judge the AI on artistic merit or anything.
Yeah, no robot idol tryouts today.
It's more like a thought experiment. We're into the themes the AI latched onto from that one REM song, how it spun them out,
Made a whole narrative. Okay, so for anyone who's not up on their REM picture of the 1980s, alternative rock's just finding its feet. And here comes this band out of Athens, Georgia, janky guitars, lyrics you kind of got to puzzle over, and this sound that was both kind of eerie, but also like you could tap your foot to it.
And Kohoutek, the song, it fits right into that early REM feeling. That melancholic melody, lyrics almost whispered, like it sucks you into this world of faded hopes and quiet disappointment.
Which, kind of like the South itself, when you think about it.
Oh, absolutely.
Which is interesting because REM, they were steeped in that Southern Gothic aesthetic, especially back then.
Totally. Southern Gothic, it's all about time passing, decay, secrets hiding under everyday life, crumbling mansions, that thick air. Like, it's got stories that ain't telling, characters haunted by what's happened before. And REM's music, they nailed that feeling.
So we've got this failed comet, right? Mirroring that whole Dash expectations thing. We've got REM, Kings of Melancholy, with their Southern Gothic vibes. And get this, the article you sent over mentioned that Fables of the Reconstruction, the album Kohoutek is on, was recorded in London.
Think about it. A Southern band wrestling with these themes of, disillusionment, things fading away, and they're recording in this place that's miles away from their roots, both literally and, emotionally, as a whole other layer to that feeling of things being out of whack, not lining up how you'd expect.
Like they were already tapping into those Kohoutek moments before the AI was even a thing. And speaking of, the AI took all that, the song, the vibes, the whole context, and made a whole fictional album around it. And some of these AI song titles, I'm telling you, there's something else. Erosion's Breath, Silted Echoes, Worn Out Lanterns. It's like the AI bottled up the essence of REM.
And that's what we're going to unpack today. We'll go track by track on the AI's list, picking apart the themes, seeing how they loop back to that core idea of impermanence. Time marching on, beauty in those fleeting moments, all that.
And, just to be clear, we're not here to hand the AI a songwriting Grammy or anything. This isn't about, human versus machine. It's about the choices it made, how it took this one spark and made something new, something that makes you think. It's the journey, you know, exploring these themes that we all connect with, human to human.
Absolutely.
So, ready to dive in?
Lead the way. I'm really curious to see what the AI does with that classic REM melancholy. So the AI, it kicks things off with Fleeting Shadows, which, gotta say, that title alone, it's like pure bittersweet REM energy.
Went right for the feels, didn't it?
Yeah.
But it's more than just the title, right?
Yeah.
It's a whole picture the AI paints in that song description that really sucks you in.
Right, yeah, we're not, analyzing lyrics here, but the AI gave us these little bits of writing to set the scene for each track. And for Fleeting Shadows, it's all kid running through these fields, tall grass, sunsetting, train whistle, way off in the distance.
Oh, wow, yeah.
It's hitting those sensory detail, zapping you back to being a kid, those memories that are so clear, but they also just ache a little.
It's crazy how a few words can do that, right? Make you feel that longing, like time's just slipping away. Have you noticed how childhood memories, they almost have that, hazy, dreamlike quality? Always just out of reach, those fleeting shadows, like the title says.
And that ties right back to Southern Gothic, memory, how it gets twisted up. It's huge GE in that whole tradition.
Right.
Think about those classic Southern Gothic books. The past isn't just over. It's like a character in the story, still shaping things in ways people don't even realize.
It's like that saying, the past is never dead. It's not even past.
Exactly.
It sticks around, haunts things, changes how we see the present. And the AI, it's like it gets that. Like it's built into the DNA of this whole album.
Totally. And it keeps digging into memory, things lost, time moving on as the album goes, but it does it with these really striking nature images. You know what I mean?
Which, speaking of, Erosion's Breath.
Yeah.
That title, it's beautiful, but also kind of creepy. You know? What did you make of that one?
That one's super interesting because it's like it takes that whole failed comet thing, Kohoutek, and makes it real world, not just space stuff, but how that feeling, things falling apart, dreams fading, it's like built into nature itself.
Okay, yeah, now I'm really interested. So how's the AI link that to, like, dreams fading? What's it actually say in the description?
Well, it talks about, let me see, Rusted Swings and the Garden of Thorns, stuff like that. It's getting at this idea that even decay, even when something's lost or forgotten, there's beauty there. It's not all doom and gloom. It's like recognizing that erosion, things breaking down, it's part of this bigger cycle, life, death, all that.
So it's like the AI is saying, don't freak out about those Kohoutek moments, those times when life doesn't go your way. They can be like chances to grow, to change. Kind of like how a forest fire, it's awful, but then new stuff grows back stronger.
Exactly. It's finding meaning in that back and forth. Creating, destroying. Impermanence isn't just the end, it's making room for what comes next.
Okay, I like that. But then it goes even deeper into the memory thing with 𝗧𝗔𝗧𝗔𝗡𝗞𝗔. That tile alone, it makes you think of like layers of stuff, half-forgotten moments, all the things that make us, us.
Like digging through old photo albums, right? The pictures are faded, you can't quite remember the details, but there's this pull there, you recognize the people, the places, but it's like time's messed with it a little. Those memories are colored by who we are now.
And isn't that like the whole point of dealing with impermanence? We change, we grow, and our memories do too. They're not just stuck in the past. They're fluid, is that the word? Stories we tell ourselves, they change a bit each time. Anything in the description jump out at you with this one?
It's cool how it uses a river for memory here. Like it talks about whispers of the willow and the alligators shot little details that make you think of the South, right?
Yeah.
But also, like, there's stuff hidden under the surface. Those silted echoes, they're down in the mud, waiting to be stirred up.
Okay, see, now that one's kind of creepy. But then we go from that to something a bit more hopeful, tougher, maybe. Worn out lanterns? What's that about?
Yeah. Worn out lanterns, it's like the opposite side of the coin from the last few. If Silted Echoes was about the weight of the past, this one's more, I don't know, struggling with dreams fading out, paths you didn't take. But there's a little light there,
I like that, a little light. And it makes sense. With REM, they could be moody, sure, but there was always that thread of hope, finding beauty, even when things are rough.
Exactly. And the AI picked that up. Even if the lanterns are worn out, they could still light the way, right?
Yeah.
Get you through the dark. It's a good metaphor, I think. Finding strength, even when your big dreams. Well, when they don't work out how you thought they would.
And who hasn't been there, right? Those Kohoutek moments where real life just doesn't match the hype. Starting to think those moments are more important than we realize.
Now you're thinking like someone who gets impermanence. And that's why this whole thing is so cool. It's not just music, art. It's our lives, how we handle those letdowns, and what we make on the other side.
Like we're making a map and the AI is giving us directions or something. Speaking of, things take a turn for the, I wouldn't say spooky, but definitely more mysterious with the next one. What's the deal with cracked mirrors?
Ooh, cracked mirrors is all about identity being messed up, Like, who are you when you look in the mirror and it's not reflecting back right? It's distorted. Very Southern Gothic, that feeling of being broken up, haunted, not sure where you fit in.
Okay, that was just creepy, I'm not going to lie. Getting some serious chills over here. But it also makes you think. Our sense of self, it's always shifting, right? Our experiences, the people we know, even just time passing, it all leaves a mark.
For sure. And those cracks, they're those moments when you doubt yourself, when you're not sure about your choices, who you even are anymore. It's about facing those broken pieces and trying to see the whole picture,
Good thing we've got music to guide us through those existential freakouts, right? And speaking of existential, let's talk Fever Dream. That just screams, things are about to get weird.
And yeah, it gets a little out there. This one feels like diving into the subconscious,
Yeah.
That surreal world where logic takes a back seat and it's all feelings and intuition.
Like the AI is channeling those old Southern Gothic stories where dreams bleed into real life and you're not sure who's alive and who's a ghost.
Spot on. And in that dream space, that embrace of the weird, the AI seems to be saying, our inner worlds, they've got power. It's about owning the dark and the light, the beautiful and the messed up stuff that's inside all of us.
And hey, maybe those fever dreams, even though they can be kind of unsettling, maybe that's how we process these big feelings, right? Impermanence, change, the unknown. Our brains need a way to deal with that stuff, and sometimes it takes a weird, symbolic journey to do it.
It's like when we let go of control, stop trying to force things to make sense. That's usually when we stumble onto those surprising truths. And maybe the AI, in its own way, is encouraging us to lean into that uncertainty, find the beauty in not knowing.
That's actually a perfect segue to Whispering Pines. It's comforting and kind of eerie at the same time, right?
Right.
Like we're back in that familiar Southern Gothic landscape, but this time there's a sense of peace, maybe.
Glad you picked up on that. Whispering Pines, it feels like going back to nature, but not in a, peaceful meadow kind of way, more like secrets being shared, ancient wisdom hidden in the leaves and branches.
And the wind. Don't forget the wind through those pines. It's like the trees have seen it all, right? Generations being born, living, dying. Their roots are buried deep, holding on to the stories of everyone who came before. Comforting, but also a little haunting, like the past is always right there watching.
That is Southern Gothic in a nutshell. And in that haunting vibe, there's also that acknowledgement, right? Life and death, growth and decay, it's all a cycle. The pines, they're like these silent witnesses reminding us that we're part of that story too.
Makes you think about how even when things die, when we lose things, there's a beauty in how nature keeps going. Life finds a way, right? Even when it's hard.
And that brings us to Rust and Bone. I swear, that title could be the name of a Southern Gothic novel itself. It's stark, evocative. It just gets at those raw, basic forces that shape everything.
Ooh, yeah, getting major Flannery O'Connor vibes from this one. Just those two words together, rust and bone. It's like this picture in your head, something old, decaying, sinking back into the earth.
But even in the decay, there's this toughness, this resilience. Bones, even after death, they tell a story. They hold the history of a life, all the experiences that made that person who they were. And rust, that's time passing too, right? How even the strongest stuff eventually changes.
It's like the AI is saying, even in breaking down, in what we lose and forget, there's a story there. Those pieces, those bits of the past, they still matter.
You got it. And that's what's so mind-blowing about this whole thing. We're finding these deep, profound ideas about life, death, the whole deal, tucked away in the track list of a fake album some AI cooked up. It really makes you wonder where creativity comes from,
Yeah.
How do we find meaning in these unexpected places?
Well said. Now, I don't know about you, but after all that rust and bone talk, I'm ready for something a little lighter, I gotta be honest. The AI doesn't end this album on a super depressing note, does it?
Don't worry, even REM knew how to mix things up. Melancholy's good and all, but you need those moments of hope. And the AI, it seems to have picked that up. The rest of the tracks, they're about love, loss, trying to connect. But there's a real tenderness there.
Okay, good. Because I don't know if my heart could take another round of erosion's breath right now. But I am curious to see how the AI handles the softer side of things. Ready to dive into the second half of this AI masterpiece.
Lead the way. I'm right behind you.
It's kind of wild, how even an AI can tap into these like really human things.
Right. It's like those themes, they're universal or something. Doesn't matter if it's paint, music, even code. We're all trying to figure out the same stuff. You know what I mean?
Love, loss, time ticking away,
Yep. All the big ones.
and maybe a little what if on the side.
Yeah.
Which brings us to Faded Roses. That title, it's like a sigh, Like accepting that even the good stuff fades eventually.
But there's a beauty to that too, right? The AI seems to be saying, even when those roses lose their color, they've still got something. A different kind of beauty. The description even mentions the scent like a whisper of promises. It hangs on, even after the petals are gone.
It's like pressing a flower in a book, You're holding on to a memory, a feeling. It's not the same as the real thing, but
Yeah.
it's poignant or something, a little reminder.
Exactly. And that's where this whole impermanence thing takes a turn. It's not just that things end, it's that those endings, they mean something. Loss can be beautiful in its own way.
Makes you think about how we hold on to memories, right? Trying to trap those little moments. Sometimes it's stuff like those pressed flowers, but sometimes it's just a smell, a sound, the way the light looked, and it takes you right back.
Like our senses, they've got their own memories, their own way of holding on. The AI taps into that with Serpent Song. Feels almost, I don't know, primal, that one.
Okay, first time I saw that title, I thought we were going full-on gothic horror, I'm not going to lie. But knowing the AI is working with this whole impermanence thing, got to be more to it than just spooky snakes, right?
Oh, for sure. Serpents, especially in Southern stories, they're all about change. Shedding skin, becoming something new. That whole cycle of life and death, growth, decay. We've been talking about it all this time.
So the AI is saying, don't be scared of changing, of letting go of old habits, old beliefs, even who you thought you were. It's just growing, becoming something new.
You got it.
Okay, I'm ready for my snake shedding transformation then.
Yeah.
But can you ease me into it a little? Tell me the rest of the album isn't all existential crises and creepy crawlies.
Don't worry, the AI saves some of its best for last. With Silver Threads, it gets into human connection. How even the little things we do can change things for other people.
Okay, yeah, giving me butterfly effect vibes for sure.
Yeah.
Like those silver threads, they're all the ways we're tied together, you know?
Mhm.
Our lives overlapping, affecting each other, and we don't even realize it half the time.
Yeah, that's it. And in that, it's saying that we matter, more than we think. Our actions, they rippled out further than we realize. It's humbling, but also kind of nice to think about.
Makes you want to be more thoughtful, right? Those little acts of kindness, just connecting with someone, you never know.
Exactly. And as this AI album winds down, there's these 3 tracks that really hit home. Ghostly Lanterns, Twilight's Veil, and then Eclipsed Hearts.
Okay, I'm getting chills again.
Yeah.
But I'm trusting the AI here. Got to be leading us somewhere good, some deeper understanding of it all.
You're on the right track. These last few, they're about those in-between places, the edges of things, those moments when we're changing, moving from one stage of life to the next. Ghostly Lanterns, that's memories sticking around, how people who've passed, they still light the way for us, metaphorically speaking, of course.
That's a really beautiful way to think about grief, about loss. Those ghostly lanterns, they're like love and guidance, reminding us that the people we loved, they're still part of us, even when they're gone.
Beautifully put. And as we go through Twilight's Veil and Eclipsed Hearts, it's like we're supposed to lean into those uncertain times when we're not sure what's coming next, stuck between the past and the future. It's in those moments, those eclipses, when we question everything, right?
Totally. Like standing at a crossroads, and there's a million paths, but you don't know which way to go. Exciting, but also scary as hell.
And that's impermanence, right? That constant change, knowing nothing stays the same. It can be a lot, but once you learn to roll with it, kind of freeing, actually.
It's like we were saying before, those Kohoutek moments when
Yeah.
things go wrong. Yeah, it's a bummer. But they can also be, I don't know, a chance to grow, to come out different on the other side, discover something new about yourself.
Exactly. And as we wrap up this whole AI-generated journey, I'm struck by the fact that the album itself, it proves that point. The AI took something limited, one song about a comet that was a bust, and turned it into this huge exploration, impermanence, these themes that connect us all.
It's like saying, you never know where you're going to find creativity, Sometimes the best stuff comes from those moments when you're lost, unsure. So, to everyone listening, what are your Kohoutek moments? What wrong turns, what unexpected detours led you to where you are now? Think about it, and we'll be back next time, diving into who miss what, who knows what. Until then, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep finding that beauty in the impermanence of it all.